Life, each day, is a new beginning.
A new chance to call an old friend, go out and play, enjoy the things that matter most.
Sometimes we forget about what matters most. We spend too much time focusing on the little things in life, neglecting the important ones, like family, friends, health, passions.
None of us knowing, none of us imagining that someday it could all be ripped away. Hi, I'm Dee Wallace. I'm an actress, an author, and a healer. And I live in Los Angeles, California. Life for me before COVID hit was much busier and much more varied. I was doing private healing sessions every day. I was doing acting jobs, films, and TV. I would go off and do conventions 5 or 6 times a week. I was speaking across the nation. So I was on a hamster wheel, right? And one of the big gifts that this experience of COVID has brought me is a greater sense of balance and really recognizing that no matter how busy I am or how not busy I am, I choose my reaction and what I want to take myself into. So if I want to feel like a victim because I don't have all the opportunities open to me that I used to do, I can choose to do that. If I want to choose to get up every morning and go, gosh, what can I do today? What are my opportunities that I can dive into? What can I create? Then that's my choice also, and that's really helped get me through.
Hi, I'm Kevin Sorbo. I'm an actor. I'm a producer, director, author, speaker. I like to do a lot of different things, and lucky enough to keep in this business for 35 years and still rolling. So I'm very fortunate to have a career in in an industry that doesn't want people to have a career. So it's been a blessing, and it's been an amazing ride so far. So I can't complain too much. I'm in Tampa, Florida right now, temporarily. Still house hunting here in the state of Florida, but this is where I'm at now, and this is probably where I'm going to end up. I had like 4 speaking events. I do a lot of speaking. I've got 2 books out called True Strength and True Faith, and I do a lot of speaking events, and probably about 12 and 15 a year. So I had 4 lined up for the last 2.5 months. All got canceled. I had another 4 autograph shows because my series Hercules and Andromeda, those all got canceled. I had a movie lineup ready to go and another movie to follow it. Now they've both been pushed to the fall, but I'm shooting a new TV series back in LA in the fall. So I'm going to lose both those movies now. So not only have I lost a lot of, this has affected everybody in some way. And it's frustrating. It's unbelievable to me what's going on right now. What the governments around just not only this country but around the world are doing right now to their citizens.
Mm-hmm.
I have one I directed that I told you about earlier that we had at the Waco Film Festival, but a number of film festivals, winning all kinds of these wonderful awards. We were ready to get out in theaters here this summer, but obviously we're not going to be able to. So we're holding on to it. But here, we do these independent movies like you guys are doing. And now all these, $300 million Hollywood blockbusters that we're going to be in spring and summer, all moving into the fall, they're going to take up every single screen. It's going to be hard to compete against those movies. When we do movies that as far as I'm concerned, are the movies I want to always do in my life, movies that had a good message, movies that are positive, not negative. There's so much hate and anger and violence that comes out of the movies out of Hollywood, which is fine. That's what people want to see. I'm not a prude about it, but I want to do movies that move people, make people think, make them laugh, make them cry. So what's going to happen with these little independent movies? I have to wait till next year. I got 3 of them done in the can, but now it's like, okay, when do we do it?
So my name is Maggie Tennis. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been a registered nurse for, I'm going on 31 years now. In June, it'll be 31 years, most of which has been critical care, ICU, trauma ICU. I've done a lot of education in the last few years. I transitioned into the educator role. But when this happened, when this pandemic started, I was in Seattle in a full-time job, and it was more in the operating room and the recovery room. And when I heard what was going on, I immediately tried to get a contract to help out in Seattle, because that's where it started. And that's where I thought I need to do something more, because our operating room shut down. We had hardly any cases. So I thought it's a perfect opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I took a contract there to start. And first I went and stayed with some of my family for a few weeks, because I knew I was going to get into this and not be able to see them for a while. So when I got back, I started a contract at one of the hospitals there, and they canceled me because they said they had it under control for the most part. So the next option was New York City, because that was where the need was. So I headed here, and I've been here since April 18th. I came here very naive. I thought I was coming here and I was going to help, and I was going to, be an experienced nurse that could jump in and save people and do all these great things. And when I got here, that first shift, I was just totally shocked at what I saw. In all my years of nursing, I've never seen people so sick and so like 1 minute actually stable, and the next minute literally coding in front of you, and you're like, what just happened? Like, what did I miss? These people, every part of their body is affected by this virus. Their lungs, their heart, their clotting, the clotting of their blood has gone crazy with blood clots, kidney failure. And these people, the way I would describe it is, they're like having a patient on that one night you go into work and you get the busiest, hardest patient in the unit, and you're in that room constantly, and everybody else is having a good night, but you're having the worst night of your life in ICU. That's what it's like every night I go to work. And it doesn't let up. I think just this past week, we have less patients, so it's sort of calmed down a little bit, but it's still very busy. And, some of the things we see are just shocking. The age of people is from like 30 to 80s. It's not just old people. It's not just sick, people that have, diabetes or heart issues or asthma. It's people that come in that were fine last week, and this week they're fighting for their life. And I try not to, I hear all these conspiracy things. I don't have a lot of time to like read everything, but, and I try to just ignore that, because you're right. We're all there to save these people, whether, whatever caused this, we're there for the same reason. And we're there to save these people. We're not seeing a lot of that happening because this virus is killing them.
My name is Eva Canepa. I'm from Naples, but right now I live in Piedimonte San Germano. There is a little town near Cassino, where is the famous Monte Cassino Abbey. It's a little town, very little town. See, it's terrible in the north, because up on the north, it's incredible what is up, and especially in the 3 biggest regions, like Lombardia, Piemonte, Emilia-Romagna. People are sick and they die. It's a lot of people die. and we have little problem with the hospital, but fortunately we have a wonderful healthcare system. I don't know if it's the right word, but it's Sistema Sanitario Nacional. And it's very, very sad, very sad. We are stuck in home, we are locked in home. And I think it's the most important thing to do it. Stay at home. I saw now that in the States, it's the same, and all other countries around us. And the must is stay at home.
My name is Franciele Stedley. I am from Brazil, but right now I'm living in Cyprus. Yes, my family is still in Brazil. Of course, we have the chance to speak with our embassy, but it's too complicated because they don't live in the mainly point in Brazil, in São Paulo, where should be the airports. And I cannot travel to São Paulo to the south where I live. So it's very hard because I'm far from everybody. Just my mom is here because she came here to visit me. Mm-hmm. But it's becoming a really hard time now because we don't know what can happen here to us. But it's even worse in Brazil, where we have more cases and more deaths already.
Yannis Dimatopoulos, and I'm from Greece. I'm a professional basketball player, and I live here in Greece. Here in Greece, since I came in, I was in a lockdown I was in a quarantine, for 14 days. I was in my house, but I was not having any contact with any of my family. Literally, they would give me food from the door, and I would just take it and sit in my room by myself. Just to make sure, if I have it, not to give it to them, because they say the virus is more dangerous and more fatal in elderly people and people with problems. Now I believe me and Fran Cieli that we have a strong immune system and stuff. We can handle the virus, but cannot afford to give it to any of our family, because then you have to live the rest of your life knowing that you gave it to one of your family that changed their life.
I am Jami. I graduated with a master's degree in social work. I was specializing in mental health, specifically in community development. For me, I suffer from anxiety and depression. I'm not outside of that, right? Mm-hmm. I am not outside of mental health. I'm not outside of being human, right? I've got kids. I've got a life. This has not been like, I'm just fine because I got tools. No, this is not.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I've called my friends like, oh my God, what am I doing? Because we're all human. But my coping mechanism, and I'm being totally honest, is to find solutions. I have to create solutions. For me, that is how I empower myself to move forward, because my experience has been, if I just keep asking and if I just keep seeking, there's something there. There's at least one person that has an answer for me.
I am Nurang Reena. I am 28 years old. I am a researcher, writer, and a human rights and political activist from Arunachal Pradesh, which is in the northeast of India. But I've been living in New Delhi for the last 13 years, and I'm currently enrolled as a PhD research student in Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi.
Hi, I'm Jeet Sarab. I'm a producer based out of Bombay. I've been living here since 2010. It's been 10 years. Before that, I was in San Francisco, and before that, I was in India. There's no shoots happening, which means there's a lot of people who are not making money, and these are people who make money on daily wages for shoots, like your spot boys, your light boys, everyone that's hired on a daily basis, and they're not making money, and they don't even have the money to stock up for a few weeks, because they just depend on, I'm going to get a shoot tomorrow, and then it's going to pay for maybe a couple of days. And then, that's how they live. And there's a ton of people from the industry that are just, and there's no way to even get food across to them, because there's police barricades, and They beat you if you try to walk, and they stop your cars if you try to drive. So there's just no way to get out of your immediate area, like your vicinity. 20 million people on this island, and the government can't do enough. And I went to a couple of supermarkets, and everything that's available now is the stuff that was either imported and things that people cannot afford to buy in bulk and stock up. Everything else is gone. There's no supply trucks coming into the city. So we don't know what's going to happen in a few weeks.
My name is Vidur Gupta. I'm in New Delhi, India. I work in visual effects and animation. In my lifetime, I'm starting to prepare for it, and it's been like, it started off as a joke, like planning for a zombie apocalypse. So,
and we've been talking about that too.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm so prepared for this. I think it'd be easier to sell than something invisible. There's a large population of this world that still believes that this isn't real.
Yeah, until somebody they know gets it.
Yeah.
And, and then people die from it.
But then it's too late.
Politicians.
Yeah, and by then it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard they're like reopening some stuff already. Like I got an email from Victoria's Secrets, and they completely shut down even their warehouses and mailing and online stuff. And I got an email this morning, I think it was, that said that they were reopening their online shopping. But there are postal workers that have been tested positive, Amazon warehouse workers that have been tested positive. So when I check my mail, I wash my hands after checking the mail and throw the packages out right away. And you just can't be ever too careful because you don't know.
Yeah, so we've been doing this thing where every time a package comes into the house, we keep it like in this room for 3 days before we touch it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just
the Princess cruise ship, they said that the one here in Northern California that they docked said that the virus actually remained active for 17 days.
So the 17 days, but that was that number was reached to because of certain criteria that have to be met. For most part, if it's out like in the air, you're kind of fine in 3 days. That was like, it's a cruise ship. It's enclosed, it's entombed, there's no fresh air going through it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What we see happen is they'll come in and they get intubated and put on the breathing machine pretty quickly. From the time they come in the hospital, they're usually pretty sick by that point, and then they may be on that ventilator for a week or 2 weeks, and then by that point, though, everything is shutting down. All their organs are shutting down, and so that's when we tend to lose them. Probably, I'd say in their second week on the ventilator, from their kidney failure and their heart failing and all the things that go with it. So it happens. It's quick. It's pretty quick if you think about a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are you able to help them if they get there sooner than when their organs start to shut down? Or is it just the course of the virus because there's no treatment for it?
I think part of it is some people wait till they're too sick and they come in, and at that point, we're trying. We do everything we can.
You were in California, you moved to Florida 18 months ago.
Yep.
How have they enforced the lockdown for you guys there? Have they been as strict as like a lot of the other states have been, or are they a little more lax?
It's strict in some counties and not as strict in others. That's all I can say. The one that I'm in here now, they kept our golf course open. My brother lives in West Palm Beach. They closed the golf course down. I said, how much more social distancing can you get when you're on a golf course? You're the closest, if you're with 3 of your buddies golfing, it's easy to keep 6 feet apart. They make us all drive separate golf carts now anyway. But the closed down golf course, closed down tennis courts? Really? The guy's 40 yards away on the other side of the net.
Yes.
You're serving to him. I just look at the insanity of this, of when we should be outside. We should be exercising, walking. I don't care if it's jogging or walking or something. You should be out there. And I look at this as a whole power trip for the government right now. They're enjoying their power. And it's to me, but I don't know.
I have to tell you something funny about that too. So in California, they made a list of things that were permissive and not permissive. One of them was surfing. Surfing was permitted, right? But you can't swim.
Yes.
So swimming is not permitted, but surfing's permitted. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, what if the surfer falls off the board?
Yeah.
What does he do then?
Well, there's video footage of the water patrol pulling over this 14-year-old kid who's on one of those stand-up boards, wakeboards, or whatever you call them. And they supposedly arrested him. I was like, okay, now this. I mean, these police, they're giving tickets. Was it Mississippi? They're giving tickets to people who are in their cars at church, where the pastor was by himself in the church, broadcasting through the radio, and they went out and handed $300 tickets to anybody that was in their cars listening to the sermon. Closing all the beaches. I mean, come on. People they can be 6 feet apart on the beach. It's pretty easy, unless you got a very, very tiny little beach. But I mean,
I think that
you'll be outside.
Yeah, Governor Newsom, I believe, is on a power trip about the beaches.
Oh, there's no question.
He was angry and scolding people for cutting beaches one weekend. So then he turned around and almost like a punishment shut it all down. And he even said, if you guys just, follow the rules, then we can open them up sooner.
And that was actually the biggest thing, is because people were not following social distancing. People were like, it was so crowded, it was almost impossible to be social distancing there. And that was pretty much the reason why he had done that, is because people weren't following the rules. If people were following the rules, I think it would have been different. But there were so many pictures, like people are like, oh, that's fake pictures or whatever else. But I've seen pictures of people who went, and they were like, there's a lot of people here, and they were talking about that they weren't practicing the social distancing at all. Masks, I'm just kind of like, you're at the beach,
I lived in Santa Monica. I lived in Santa Monica for 5 years. Santa Monica Bay, that beach, that's 100 yards of sand from the bike path down to the water. There is so much room on that sand to be out on the beach. I hate the fact that we're turning to such a martial law, just total control over human lives and telling them what they can and can't do.
Right. Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm very grateful.
What's that?
I'm very grateful to be in the United States, because some of the other countries, like Philippines, for an example, they're shooting people on sight for leaving their homes. In India, you have to get a pass to just get groceries. And in order to get a pass to get groceries, you have to know somebody. Like, you can't just turn around and say, hey, I want to go get a pass to go to the grocery store. You have to actually know somebody to get a pass just to get food. They had somebody who was going for bread, a young man, actually, and they beat him to death just to go get bread for the family. So for me, it's like, we're a free country and we're used to having our freedoms and doing that what we want. But I will take whatever they're giving us right now over what they're doing in India and what they're doing in these other countries. I'm telling you, it's like if I turn around and go to my laundry room, I'm like looking across the street over here, the laundromat. I could get shot. Like it's well,
that's why we don't live in India, right? And
yeah, or the Philippines or anywhere else, for that matter. But and then we had other countries that are more lax and stuff like that. But I'll take the restrictions that we've been given in the United States over the restrictions I've seen anywhere else.
Well, look what Sweden is doing. Sweden had no quarantining, and their death rate and their infection rate is on par with any other country. There has been no difference with it. So I don't know. That's one example of saying, okay, you got that argument right there. So
Sweden said if you're high risk, stay home and self-quarantine.
Right, exactly.
And they didn't.
Well, I have a friend out there. My friend Martin's there, and so that is the case. He's like, they are open. They've never closed down and stuff like that, but they have seen a spike in their cases, and so that's something that he did confirm for me. But they didn't say, he didn't tell me about as far as like deaths are concerned. He was just saying that there have been a spike in cases having stayed open.
Well,
that was recent.
we go back to work, we're gonna have a spike here too. So then what?
Absolutely.
Go back and hide again, and then let's call out our cave 6 months from now when more people have lost their jobs, committed suicide, lost everything. Spousal abuse is on the rise. The whole home. I mean, there's
child abuse too. Child abuse too.
So once again, I just think that 6 months, a year from now, we're gonna go, wow, what are we doing? So I don't know who to trust. I really don't know who to trust.
The ability to buy toilet paper, paper towels, produce, meat. Going to church, taking a walk on the beach. Liberty, freedom, our sense of safety. None of us knowing, none of us imagining that someday it could all be ripped away.
During this time, a lot of people have never felt more alone because they're locked in, they can't go places, and stuff like that. And this is a way for us to be able to show, hey, you're not the only person who's going through this, and we're here with you. And this is kind of a worldwide fight to save humanity, really. So.
One toilet paper.
My younger sister is a doctor who's in charge of the entire village's health center, and she keeps telling me how they are not prepared to deal with the pandemic. They don't even have the basic necessities, which I think is universal. Nobody is prepared for this. But if you ask me how is it affected me and my life, I think I'm anxious all the time because I really don't know what's going on, and so is you and everybody else. It has affected everyone equally, the capitalists, socialists, the poor and the rich, and I think it has affected everyone. Nobody's prepared for it. My home is 1,000 kilometers away. I think a lot of us are trying to find comfort in family and loved ones, but to not be able to go home where I find familiarity and comfort, I feel kind of displaced here. I've been living with my friends here for the last 1 month now since the lockdown began. I have everything, food, roof, good place to sleep, but I think these are not normal times, to be honest. Let's accept that, and I cannot seem to function normally. I am beginning to doubt my intellect, my productivity. There's no routine that I follow, even though I try to. And I live in a part of Delhi right now, which is considered to be an elite posh society. I might have access to groceries and daily essentials, but at the same time, I know that people outside this community or also this locality might be really struggling, even to fetch one-time meal. So to understand all of that existing realities, I don't know how do I come to terms with all of this. Today my mother rang up saying, some villagers from the village has brought some fresh vegetables and fish for them. And when she heard that the lockdown extended today for another 19 days, she said she worried for me that living in the city, there might be a point where there is a scarcity of resources. And what if violence happens? And she thought I might be in danger. So, all of these things that playing together is just, I don't know, it's not making sense. I'm sure it's the same for all of you there. Other than that, I think in the village, as my sister tells me every day, they've been trying to get in touch with health officials and departments from the health sector to provide the basic necessities like masks. Testing kits are not even there. I mean, forget about it. India with 1.3 billion population, I don't think we're doing enough tests as well. So all of that, yeah.
I by no means in belittling what's going on right now in terms of the contagiousness of this COVID, but flus are contagious too, right? I mean, we have shots for the flus, and yet 60,000 to 80,000 Americans die every year for decades because of the flu. And we don't to quarantine healthy people, to me, is insane. And how you build up an immune system, you build up an immune system by being exposed. And I'm not saying let's just go out and purposely be exposed, but they're already showing the numbers. If you're under 60 and you're healthy and your immune system is strong, then why are we not shutting down parks? Are you kidding me? Shutting down. We should be outside running. How do you build a strong immune system? You build it by being healthy, by running, jogging, push-ups, sit-ups, whatever. Exercise is a very important part of that. And kids have the strongest immune systems out there. To shut down the schools, to me, was crazy to me.
Mom, I want to go back to school. I miss my teachers and my friends. I want to go to band again.
I know, honey. I'm doing the best I can. Just come on, finish your work. We're going to show it to your teacher. Come on. You've got a Zoom meeting coming up.
If you're a kid that's got asthma or something like that, I get it. You know, if you have pre-existing conditions, you got to be careful. I totally understand. But we've never quarantined healthy people before. So I can't help but think there's something more to this than what they're letting us know. And once again, it's a nasty, nasty virus. I totally get it. I don't know what to believe. I don't believe it's from a bat. I believe it's from that lab. But was it man-made? Did it escape? I mean, I don't know. I don't have those answers either. But there's a lot of speculation out there, and I'm looking at both sides of the fence. I'm trying to hear what both sides are saying to be fair about it. But at the same time, I think it's nuts that we're arresting mothers at the park with their 2-year-olds on a swing, and yet I can go to the grocery store and there's 150 people in the grocery store. It's just weird.
That's my big argument every day too. I go to the grocery store; it's so congested. And they won't allow you to buy things like toilet paper online anymore because of the way it has all been sold out. So they force you to go there. If you want these special items, you can't order them online for curbside pickup. You walk in there, there's so many people. It's like the most dangerous place in the world to be. But but you can't do all these other little things. It's ridiculous. The shutdown, I agree the shutdown is ridiculous, especially in my area, a population of 1.5 million. There's 200 active cases, but we're shut down until end of May, possibly into June.
No, you're going to make Montana and Iowa and Idaho, states like that, follow the same rules they're setting for New York citizens, New York City people? Really? Right. I mean, there's more people per square block in New York City than there are in the entire state of Montana. Let people decide. And some of these governors, this governor from, Newsom, I'm sorry, that's a whole nother story. But that one from Michigan, that woman, gosh, it's amazing to me that this power that we're letting them have. But you're seeing more and more people now step up their game and saying enough is enough. And okay, you quarantine us, it flatlines. Then we slowly go back to work. What happens when we go back? Well, more people will be exposed. Oh my gosh, it's going to spike again. Well, no kidding. So we have to stay hidden forever? Are we going to close down the economy forever? I mean, it makes no sense to me that we're doing this. And I think people need to decide for themselves. I go biking every day. I do like a 20-mile bike ride before I come back home. I got a gym here at the house. And I'm out there and people are jogging by themselves wearing masks.
Oh, wow.
While they're jogging, I'm going, is it just waiting for you to open up your mouth and just come diving in when there's nobody around you? I look at that and go, but this is what the government has done. This is what the press has done. They love the fear. FDR said the only thing to fear is fear itself. And my gosh, is he right? Because the fear factor, people are so afraid. The aftermath, I think this so-called cure of battling us is going to be far worse down the road, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now. I read an article of tuberculosis. It's going to take a huge spike because of this now. Suicides have taken a spike. Anxiety, heart attacks, all this stuff. I mean, what are they trying to do really? Because, people want answers. I want answers just like you guys do.
Was don't come to the hospital. Don't go to the hospital unless you're really sick. And so a lot of people don't go until it's too late. I don't know. I know most of the floors in the hospital that are just for regular patients that are not critically ill, we turned them all into ICUs. Almost every floor that was there that had COVID patients on it were considered ICUs. So a lot of those patients, I don't know on the other units if they've made it out or not. I know in my unit, I've not seen one person in the last almost 3 weeks make it out of there alive. So we have residents there, and we have nurses from all over. We have doctors that have come in, and we've done everything. We've tried every treatment you can imagine. You know, when something doesn't work, we'll try something else. And it's just so discouraging because I've gone home in the morning feeling really good about my patient, thinking this one just might make it. You know, this one we might be able to do something for. And I've come back at that same night, and they're gone. They've died. And it's really hard. It's hard to like go back, and you work so hard, and then are you doing any good at all? And these people, their families cannot be in there. They don't let the family members in anymore. So, these people are dying alone. They have us. That's what they have. So it's very heartbreaking. I'd say the first 2 weeks. This week has been better, just because it's slowed down a little bit. But I know, this still happens. When I go to sleep, I dream constantly. I feel like I'll call my husband and I'll say, I feel like I didn't get any rest because I'm still working in my dreams. I'm dreaming about taking care of people. I'm dreaming about my patients. And I would wake up and just sob and cry because I think I got to stop thinking about it all the time. Because I've got to go back to work tonight, and I'm thinking about my patient I lost yesterday. And so it's been hard. I call home a lot. I talk to my kids. I talk to my husband. My husband's been like a rock to me because I'll call him in the middle of the night and I'll say, I can't sleep. I'm upset. And he'll talk me through it. I think he has some PTSD from this too, because he didn't want me to come here. He thought Seattle would be safer. And then when they canceled me in Seattle, I told him I was coming here. And he said, I really don't feel good about this.
Nobody are prepared here too. Now they're starting. But happened that many of doctors and nurses, they sick. They're in the beginning, we don't know what it was. But then when we understand and when government take care, the things change. And I believe that our government has done everything it's possible to manage this difficult situation. Our prime minister, he tried to find a balanced and adequate solution for save the public health, not damaging our already difficult economic system. I'm concerned about the small activity in the future, but I hope the government will provide, of course, and because it will be very hard time, and you too have to do it something to help all the country of Europe.
This whole thing started with the fact that we didn't think it was important to have in place any kind of plan around a pandemic, even though we were told 2 years ago that this would be coming. And so that was a definite decision that this administration made, and now we're paying for it. But again, your world and the difference in your world, which affects the world, has to start in here. It has to start in here, guys. One of the things that I find valuable too is sometimes, because your monkey mind just goes blah, 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 and starts taking you literally into the toilet bowl with your thoughts. And sometimes if I just get a piece of paper and write out, just journal what's bothering me, journal what I wish was different, what's wrong. And then on the next column over here, go, what's the positive that I can write now? And it teaches your brain to shift back to the more positive way of working. I know from I'm a clairaudient channel, which means I hear messages. And my channel said that the core, the energetic reason behind this virus is the belief that we have no control. So what experience is it putting us in? That we have no control. Yeah. And people who are more conscious are really practicing the art of knowing they have control over their own emotions and their thoughts and their feelings and their perspectives, which creates a whole different experience than the people who don't know that they have control over themselves. Because it's our greatest fear, guys. I mean, people say our greatest fear is death. Well, what's the greatest thing we have no control over? Any of us? Death, right? So it's that loss of, for me, I really narrowed it down to the fear of not knowing what's going to happen, because I was raised in a household with an alcoholic father who committed suicide. So every night of my life, I was like this. What's going to happen? So I know that if I know what's going to happen, I can handle anything. Mm-hmm. So I have to take myself into knowing, how can I know? I mean, one thing I know is that I've had an amazing amount of hurt and tragedy in my life. And, I've gotten through it all. Mm-hmm. My dad's suicide, my brother's suicide last year, my husband's early death at 55. I have found the strength to get through it and even come out happier and better because of it. It's possible. And when I look at this, I go, this is just another thing I get to stay on top of for me and know that I can control within me and my thinking and my feeling where I go.
What you are fighting is for a sense of control, right? You need to feel in control of something. So you feel like if I grab onto something and I make it do this thing, I'll feel better. It's too much. It's information coming from our phones. It's information coming from our friends. It's information coming from the TV, our families, everywhere you go. It's overwhelming. And you need time to rest. Our sleep is interrupted. I can't tell you how many people have called me and said, I'm not sleeping. People are in their totality, meaning where they live, where they work, who they live with, and how they can access those things matters. If you cannot do those things safely, then there will be a breakdown. So you're going to see more fatality in the aggression that we see between people because it's too much, right? So for instance, today I read that someone was in Oklahoma and a woman shot 4 people at a McDonald's because she couldn't eat in the McDonald's. She wasn't hurt, right? She wasn't being threatened. She just kind of lost it and shot people, right? Or someone that went to get their haircut and couldn't get their haircut because they were making an appointment. He came back with a knife and a gun.
Life is about consequences, learning from our mistakes. And you know what the best part is? Each day we get a chance to do it all over again. Each day, each waking moment offers us a new miracle, a new moment of joy, a new chance to do things differently.
No matter how much money you have, you can't buy certain things right now, and that's just that, because you just can't find them. The fear of what is your recommendation for how to deal with the ongoing fear of a resurgence and the possibility of starvation being the next pandemic, which is something that's circulating the internet right now?
Totally. Food, because I deal with food insecurities, because I deal with people that are poor, right? So unfortunately, they're dealing with being paid once a month oftentimes and never having enough food.
Right.
So my first lesson is to reuse what you have. Grow a garden. I'm serious. Like, you get seeds, you get fruits, you get vegetables. You can regrow lettuce. The internet is beautiful. Small space gardening, it takes little to nothing. Number one. Number two is, seriously, learn how to consume less. You consume too much. You think you need to eat as much as you do, but we throw out a lot of food. Number three is start eating different foods, meaning a lot of people are meat heavy and less grain oriented, less vegetable oriented, less bean oriented. Learn how to start eating new foods. Seriously, like, I used to be 265 pounds, right? I used to be huge and have a lot of health issues. I did not have any surgery. I didn't do anything special, but I went back to learning about nutrition. A lot of people have a lot of time on their hands. Start learning about where your food comes from. Connect to some of your local markets, right? Honestly, ethnic food places, Asian markets, Hispanic markets often have things much less expensive. They have things that are seasonal and accessible. There is a food shortage, but then the dichotomy of that is, right? The paradox of that is we have farmers that are throwing away food.
Right, which is terrible. Yeah.
So I got with someone and we started a farmers index, right? So literally we have every state, and it's a baby right now, right? But we asked farmers, hey, because farmers can't, the food chain is breaking down. So what that means basically is a farmer has a product, but the distributor, right, to get it, or I have some people telling me that literally the butcher there's a list too long now. So they have product that they can get to the butcher, but the butcher can't butcher their product. A lot of people forget that there are dried food options, lentils, beans, split peas, those kind of things. People are like, I don't eat beans. Folks will start eating beans if they don't want to be hungry.
Right? And talk about an equalizer and a reset button for anybody out there who was like feeling, great because they could afford anything that they need. Well,
and now it's not there. That's right.
It's gone. It's like the movie, The Book of Eli is what it reminds me of. People are trading commodities for commodities. I traded milk for Lysol wipes.
On the first week, we have incredible line out of the grocery shop. But then from the government, the prime minister, he said, don't worry, nothing will happen. We will have food enough for everybody. Go to the grocery shop, only one person per family, once a week, and you will find everything. We don't, of course, nice and bad people all over in the world. So sometimes you find some shop that you want to buy Lysol and you used to spend $2 and then you find an $8.
Yeah.
Somewhere happened, but the mayors, they find them and they let close. So now everything is, the only thing that we don't have, it's hardly to find, is sanitizer gel.
Oh, yes. Oh, hand sanitizer, yep.
And mask. We don't find it.
Girl, I just found tissue. I was on my last 2 rows and I had to go a little further, right? to go somewhere like a little town that had a Target that was under construction and people thought it was closed to find tissue. Because I'm just being honest, I was almost an hour away from my home to get tissue.
Wow. Yeah, I have a tiny little stash, well, a surplus in the trunk of my car because every time I go to a store, if I see they've got some, I buy it.
Good for you.
So you talked a little bit about how you cope with stress, but I'm sure that's just one of the methods. There's many methods of coping with the stress that people are going through right now. Can you share us like tips that you would give somebody, like some of your clients, on how they can deal with that?
I have lots of tips. First of all, exercise is really important. If you have a lot of energy pent up, and we all do because we can't expel it by going out, right? It's like a dam, and it just gets more pressure and more pressure and more pressure. So any kind of exercise, and guys, I know the first place we want to go is, well, yeah, but I can't go to the gym, right? Yeah, but you can go for a walk. Or you can get a mini trampoline delivered to your house and do a half an hour while you're watching Law and Order, which happens to be my favorite program. Or, going to 60s music, which happens to be my music of choice. Also meditating, and you don't have to do like 2 hours of oming. 15 minutes of focused deep breathing, you will not believe how much that can balance you. Another really fun exercise that I use is think of a little kid stamping his feet and stamping his hands like this. And I just go, I'm so happy, I'm happy, I'm so happy, I'm happy. And it just gets you out of you. But what it really does to your brain is it tells your brain, look, I'm saying that I'm happy. I'm claiming that I'm happy, right? My body is having fun saying it, so it feels happy. I'm smiling, so it's joyful, and your brain goes, oh, I get it. Being happy is good, right? Because a lot of us have taught our brains to think that struggle and worry and not knowing are how we create things. And it's absolutely the opposite. The more you worry and fret and again, allow yourself to dive into that negative place, the more you're going to create the life you don't want.
Sleep when you can. And I mean that. Like, seriously, if it's 4:00 in the afternoon and you're tired, go lay down. There is no such thing as the past. It's not true anymore. All days end in Y.
Think about the Lion King. Whoop, he bonks him on the head. What did you do that for? It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
And so what I'm trying to remind people is right now, just a day ends in Y. There is no Friday. There is no Tuesday. So just kind of give yourself, the second one is give yourself some forgiveness. What you used to do, what you did before is not now because the circumstances aren't the same. So your expectation of self and others doesn't need to be lowered as much as adjusted, right? Because we're not functioning on the same level that we were before, right? So rest. And then that one. And then I think the third one would be, honestly, coping mechanisms are funny things, right? So we coped before, right? And you didn't realize how you coped. Maybe it wasn't avoidance. Maybe you worked out the gym, but now you cannot, right? So replacing, right? Finding something to replace that coping mechanism is imperative right now because unfortunately drinking and alcohol consumption and drug consumption is way up. deliveries from alcohol is up in California like 50-something%.
Right. Arlene, just wait till you see the video of what you just look like. That's
Oh, I didn't see
Right.
it.
Oh,
like adjusting yourself in your seat or something. You're like going like this. Like,
Oh.
you do a moonwalk, but
bloopers. These are going to be our bloopers here.
Exactly.
Well, my laptop is an older laptop, and you have to have like a more upgraded laptop, and I haven't updated it. And so I'm doing this from my phone now instead, so we can have our pretty backdrop that, you know, our people work so hard on. And so I'm holding this.
This is what you look like. You're like. And this is one. Laugh.
Yeah.
Find some place to let it go and laugh. Like, find
you know,
joy.
my mom was watching she watches Korean TV, and she would get Korean news. And so anyway, she was watching this thing and talked about that. She's like, and this was like years ago. And she said, Arlene, she says, in order to feel healthier mentally and physically, you need to laugh. She said, studies have shown in Korea, and she's like, they do the studies in Korea. She goes, if you laugh, even laugh or nothing. So like my mom, just all of a sudden, this little old Korean lady just starts going, ah, ha, 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 ah, ha, 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 ah, and she just kept doing that. But the way she did it was so funny, you couldn't help but to laugh. So you're sitting there laughing at her, laughing at nothing. Yeah. So it was great. But yeah, definitely.
So you understand.
Well, definitely. And one of the things that has been a coping mechanism for me, because, you know, we've interviewed people, we hear tragic stories, we hear, you know, good stories. A lot of it has been more tragic than good, but there is good out there.
Yes.
And so I've watched something funny. Like I'll watch like a stand-up comedian and you know, but I can't help but to think to myself, I'm watching the audience members and I'm watching the comedian, and I can't help but to think to myself, like, why aren't these people wearing masks? I know it was before the pandemic, but like, that's where my brain set is at this point, is like, I miss going to, you know, like the last person I went to go see was, I don't know if you remember, like Jim Gaffigan. Went to see him perform. Super funny man, you know. Went to see last year was Gabriel Iglesias. Iglesias, I think it was. And Fluffy. Yeah, Fluffy. And you know, so like, you know, the days are gone of those right now, you know. No more concerts. Like I've gone to live concerts, jazz concerts. You know, Burning Man's been canceled. Not that I've ever gone to that or ever will go to that.
But still, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it really is. I've had friends that pre-bought tickets. They're heartbroken. You know, so, you know, you have to find other ways, like you said, other ways to cope, other ways to enjoy things. Yeah.
Yes. Because a lot
my
of
dogs are very happy. Yeah, there's definitely balance. My dogs are very happy because they get walked a lot more now.
And they see you a lot more.
Yeah. They like to trip me. They like to trip me. They can't see me doing the moonwalk in this camera. So
I can't stop obsessively washing my hands, and it's to the point where my hands feel brittle, and in some spots it feels like it's actually going to crack. And so I'm like using so much lotion right now. And you know, a big thing for me, and I have to imagine it's affecting everybody else, is the grocery stores themselves. And so when I'm at the grocery store, all I hear on replay is a CDC public service announcement. And it is so like jarring.
Yeah.
You're in there and you got empty shelves.
Yeah.
You're hearing the CDC message playing on the loudspeaker.
Stay calm when you're sick and practice good social distancing of at least 6 feet when possible. To make that easier, we're limiting the number of shoppers inside the store. Associates and signs will direct you. Loitering inside or outside the store is strictly prohibited.
And everywhere you turn, there's signs to remind you to keep 6 feet apart.
Right.
Like we're living in the apocalypse.
We are.
Something that we've only seen in movies.
Yeah.
Until now. And now it's happening. And
it's jarring.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Very disconcerting.
Every time I leave the grocery store, I have to
You're worried.
I have to like decompress. So I came out of there with so much anxiety, and it just
you go in there with anxiety.
Yeah,
and you come out with more. I know.
Right. And I think that they need to stop playing those CDC messages because that is scary. And I know that they're doing it to remind people why it's like that, but come on, can you set a more scary scenery to be at a grocery store? It's
well, I'm wondering what the legalities of that is, because it could be required that they're playing that as well. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask them and be like, hey, you know, do you guys have to do that? Because, you know, it's, you know, I feel like I'm in some like terrible movie or something, and it makes shopping unpleasant. But honestly,
time out. Ready? Let me give you a better suggestion. Because see, my coaching self is dying. No, wasting your energy. That's not going to. No, ready? There are other alternatives to get food. Amazon delivers. Grocery stores deliver, Instacart deliver, ask a friend, do pick up at curbside. Like, I've got 5 options other than you demanding that someone else do something outside of you to correct you. This is not about other people correcting themselves to make you more comfortable. That will never work.
I will say this when it comes to the shopping carts, it's almost impossible to get things delivered because so many people are having deliveries. I have had the hardest time in several places getting food.
I am getting food delivered every day. So talk to me.
Okay. Well, I'm in Orange County. Okay. A lot of privileged people who can afford to have things delivered to them. There's just not there's not a slot to have them delivered. So there have been many times that I would request in there. I would go into Instacart. I would go into, you know, Ralph's or Albertsons or Whole Foods.
And nothing.
And I can't get them delivered. They're like, there's no time slot. There's no time slot here. There's no time slot there. I've had one get pushed out where Ralph's finally went through. It got pushed out, and out of 10 things, I got 2. So that they were able to find. So it's really not that easy.
I never said it was easy. I don't want to minimize that. Not easy, right? But what I'm saying to you is, for you to get a better outcome, it's not outside of you. It's always internal. And I'm talking to you from a therapist point of view and a coach, right? To get something done is not to demand outside of you that someone fix it. Find it within yourself. That is exactly how you're going to find it.
I'm not saying necessarily to fix it, but maybe find out the reasoning behind it. Like, you know, hey, why do you guys play? Just out of curiosity, because once they're like, well, we're required to do it, then you're like, oh, okay. You know, then
that's separate.
You have a better understanding.
Yeah.
But
that's absolutely.
I get what you're saying because of my background in therapy. Is we can try all day to you know, address these things because they're wrong and they really should be addressed, because imagine this
absolutely
everybody. But at the end of the day, for my own personal peace of mind,
correct,
there's a solution within myself that will work for me, because they're not going to care about my peace of mind.
Well, they will, maybe. We hope they will, right? We definitely hope that they will. But for me and my stress level, right, and to mitigate that additional worry of that, I'm going to look for 5 other ways, including speaking to them, that I can create a solution versus talking to them and still maybe not getting it done. Because in the end, it's a multi-level issue, right?
Did you get the address I sent you?
Yeah, when we stop, don't touch the handle. I'll let you out.
One of the things that we found to be consistent across the world is there's been a lot of racism. So there's always been racism, but it seems like since the coronavirus came out, because they were calling it a Chinese illness, but now it's like, you know, people don't know how to differentiate between somebody who's Chinese and who's not, for one. And two, even if they were Chinese, they didn't create the virus. They didn't so what are you what do you see going on in India as far as like racism? We know that you're a human rights activist against racism, and they experienced that yourself personally. So I don't know if you mind, one, sharing what you went through personally, and then two, how the coronavirus has escalated the racism in your country.
Okay. I'll begin with a short anecdote. The day I was taking a cab from my university to my friend's place here, the driver told me, the moment I stepped into his cab, he looked at me and he said in Hindi that all the foreigners must be killed or burnt alive to end this pandemic.
You know, I heard all foreigners should be killed, burned alive to stop this virus.
And I sat in the car frozen, and I didn't even know how to react to that. But my first instinct was to speak in Hindi to prove my nationality. And when I was done doing that, I breathed a sigh of relief. But then again, I questioned myself, why? Why did I need to speak in Hindi to, save myself from whatever uncertainties that was coming my way? And then I tried to reason him, telling him about the disease. And I said, there is no cure for it. The world is going crazy. If you kill or if you want to attack someone, that's not the solution. But he was so adamant that he had heard somewhere that it was a Chinese virus and that Chinese looking people must be killed. That's what he said. And that really frightened me. And 2 days later, a Manipuri girl from India was spat on. People were evicted from their houses. Nurses from the northeast of the country were attacked. People are calling coronaviruses, pushing, punching. People are not even allowed to go into the grocery stores to fetch essentials.
Oh no.
I am shocked at the level of, I wouldn't call it ignorance. I think it is just our latent biases that has just come out. I think, forget the pandemic or not, we have it. I don't know for the rest of the world, but America, of course, with racism. But India does not accept and acknowledge racism exists here. And prior to this, I mean, or not prior, I can say, simultaneously, India's experiences with, divisions over caste, class, religion. You name it. We have all the reasons to hate each other, kill each other. I mean, just a couple of months back, people were killing Muslims going into the northeast of Delhi's localities. With this pandemic, I think we have just brought out the worst in us. Whereas it was supposed to bring us together, whereas it was supposed to bring all the powerful nations of the world together, all the health sectors of the world together, come in, pull in money and bring out a solution, but it has not happened. In fact, we are so divided. I think it's insane what we are going through. Then, see, like I said, I live in this locality where I think it is an elite posh area. I don't even step out because I can sense that sense of insecurity. My friends, we always discuss, if I have to go out, I'll have to go with someone. I don't want to go alone because I fear people might just do anything. And I fear for my life, to be very honest. Thankfully, I've not been, subjected to physical assaults. But had I been living in some other localities, I'm sure I might have been one of the victims, like everyone else, like a lot of them. And I think the second part, which I think a lot of even journalists across have picked up, is even the Muslim minorities have been labeled as, like how we are called as Chinese coronavirus, they're also called as jihadi virus.
Oh, gosh.
That's also taking place. I mean, in the last 1 month, I think the amount of hate crime, prejudices based on race and religion is it's unimaginable. A lot of people have died as well. They're making groups and committees and they are distributing food, rations, basic supplies. So I think that's happening. But at the national level, I think the government could have done a lot, could have saved a lot of lives. Yes, a lockdown is necessity. It is the solution, but I think a proper planning and properly executed lockdown could have really, saved a lot of lives, because a lot of people have also committed suicide because of the lockdown, because they didn't know where to go.
Yeah, I hear that you've lost more people to suicide and starvation than you have to the actual pandemic.
Exactly.
The whole idea of the pandemic is to save lives, with the lockdown. And in fact, it's kind of done quite the opposite. So I have a question for you as far as like the lockdown that you're experiencing, because you said you're in a more elite, poshy area. Because of where you live and with whom you're staying, do you guys have to also go through the same process of leaving where you are? Like, having to get permission or calling somebody or anything like that? Because I know in other areas, I think it was Bombay, was it? I think it was, or Mumbai, where he said that the area where he was, it was very hard to get permission to even leave to get supplies. You have to know people.
I'm not surprised by that. Class privilege is a reality. And especially in a country like India, where we are so obsessed with class, it's just something else. Because where my friends live, and they're mostly foreigners, and I think this area has a couple of grocery stores and vegetable vendors coming in and out one time in a day. So I think this area, or any elite area, is at a far off better, experience than the rest. We don't really need to get out far away, because there's a walking distance. The grocery store is at the walking distance. So in that sense, I think we are fine. But when I say I feel insecure, maybe I only feel it because of the social makeup that I have, because I cannot choose to walk out alone.
So we probably have for the amount of people that India has, I think we have a fairly low amount of COVID-19 deaths. But the amount of people dying due to hunger and starvation and other reasons right now is way higher. So I think there were about 4,000 people that tried walking from Delhi to their hometowns, which were up to 800 kilometers, just a bottle of water and a backpack, and that's it. And they were like, the landlord kicked us out, and we have no way to eat anything. We have no access to food. We have no money. And whatever little we have left, we're just going to try to walk home. There's no transport. All the trains are shut. All the buses are shut. There's no government transport. Cities are locked down. There's no food shops along the way. So there's a couple of people that wake up in the mornings and they drive as far as they can, and they give these people water and biscuits. In India, even if you're white or black or anything that's not brown, basically, they're going to look at you and they're going to say, "Hey, foreigner, COVID, Corona," and they're going to start yelling these things out and make you feel really out of place and make you want to go away. A friend of mine from Canada was trapped in Rishikesh, north of Delhi, and she was scared for her life because she was like, people were throwing rocks and trying to stone her.
Oh no.
Yeah, and she's like a 21-year-old white girl, blonde hair, looks nothing Chinese. But yeah, they just assume you came from abroad and you probably got the disease with you. Racism is crazy. It's causing people to act out in fear, and it's not nice.
It's funny how something like a virus and a lockdown can adjust our focus on what matters most in life. Having coffee with a friend or even getting a haircut in a salon, once an easy task.
I try to remain as neutral as possible, but there's a large part of me that feels like the lockdown needs to be lifted. And I applaud the protesters because they're out there following what they believe in. They believe that the lockdown is wrong. They believe it needs to be lifted. And I'll be their cheerleader if they want to get out there and exercise their rights to free speech. I'm not out there doing it, but
and see, I'm okay with it because I believe in free speech as well. But what I have a problem with is when you endanger other people in the process of doing it. So it's okay for them to contest and have issues with the lockdown and stuff. But there's no reason for them to all be out there not wearing masks and protecting themselves and protecting others in the process. By all means, go out there, holler, yell, whatever. Let us go back to work. Let us go back to our beaches. Let us go back to getting our nails done. Whatever it is, that's free speech. But you need to be responsible in the process of doing that. Don't endanger others while you're trying to fight for yourself.
We have allowed 100,000 people to die where other countries have had less than 2,000 people die. So it is proven that what we're doing is not working. If you want to go out, by all means, you go out. And I have no problem with that. But here's my addendum to that. You need to sign paperwork that says when you do get sick, don't ask for services because we're inundated. How do we fix a broken system so that people can get their needs met? It's the same question to me. Mm-hmm. It's about what's the most important thing, right? I'm saying 100,000 people have died. How do I minimize more people dying so that we can all live versus 100,000 people have died, but I need to just go back to work?
Mm-hmm.
What if you die? What if you get sick?
How much lockdown is enough in your point of view?
Science. I'm not a scientist. I'm not, right? I can stop. I'm not a scientist.
Well, no, I mean, how many days or months do we have to be in quarantine for you to not come back and say, well, no, because we need to be responsible and don't be asking for services if you go out and get infected? How many
science
months?
Because let's take New Zealand. I think it is, right? Mm-hmm. Because they went on lockdown immediately. They've had less than 2,000 deaths and they've been able to lift their quarantine in less than 2 or 3 months.
So when did they decide it was safe to lift the quarantine? Was that after 14 days like the CDC?
No, when there was no more positive tests for however many days. And again, I don't keep up with that like that. Right. But there was no new positive deaths for whatever amount of time it was. Right. And again, that was based on CDC, science, or whatever, because she's been doing this that way.
I believe that they're following, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that all the countries are pretty much following the similar guidelines, 14 days. What is it again, Arlene, the CDC recommendation of the 14 days? I can't remember. Is it 14 days?
Well, they were saying that the incubation period is 14 days. So you have to basically wait for 14 days. And by the time the 14 days are over, people will start showing symptoms, positives, and so forth. And so then for those who start showing positives for after 14 days, those people should be in quarantine.
I get angry. I understand they want things back the way they used to be. And I understand they need their money, they need their jobs. I understand all of that. But when I'll walk to the grocery store, I'll walk to the post office and I'll see people all over the place with no mask on, or their mask is around their neck. That's a big thing. And it's so frustrating to me. And I think about at work, the amount of stuff that we put on, the layers of protection we put on. And I think of the people walking out on the street without a mask on, and it blows my mind. And I think that's why I post so much stuff on Facebook, because I'm like, I don't know if they're just not getting it or they're not getting the right information, that this isn't just a flu virus. This virus is extremely deadly and it's so contagious. I don't think people realize how contagious it really is. I mean, now they're saying it used to be 6 feet for social distancing, and now they're saying that someone who coughs, it can go as far as 12 feet. And here these people are on a nice day outside, and I literally will walk from the sidewalk into the street to stay away from them, because I don't want what these people have. The sick people, I don't want it, because I see how fast they die and how sick they are, and I don't want to die by myself without my family there.
You're going to say, well, until it's safe. Okay, that means never. It's never safe. Life is never safe. There's always something out there, you know? Yeah. So, you know, until it's safe makes zero sense to me. And I think you're going to see, as the days go by, not weeks, as each day go by, you're going to see more and more and more people saying, okay, enough is enough.
Yeah.
It's just to the point now. It's, guys, we have to get back to having a life. Look, we had our masseuse come over to our house because her business had closed down. She couldn't collect unemployment because she's self-employed. So here's a woman that has no way to pay anything. So we had her come here and work on all three of my kids, my wife, and myself. So she was here doing an hour massage on all five of us, and she really appreciated it.
Nice.
And I did too, because I hadn't had a massage for 2 months. So.
Life really is about consequences, learning from our mistakes, which is sadly the only way we seem to learn. And you know what the best part is? Each day, we get a chance to do it all over again.
There's no refuge from this silence, no voice for the sound. All the anguish of this time, I must I had long and lonely nights. I was breaking. This is my fight, but I was breaking.
You know, I think my industry is like the world. We're going to adapt. We're going to adapt, or we're not going to do it. So my channel said 2 years ago that the next few years will all be about adapting, and people who can adapt will thrive, and people who can't or fight adapting will not be so happy and do so well. And you see that happening. People aren't adapting, and now they're out looting and why starting fires in somebody else's property and harming somebody else's property makes an argument for the injustice against this African American gentleman, which was injustice, but then they turn around and do more injustice, you know? And I think we just have to get back to, gosh, I wish I knew where my notes from my show this morning. It was so perfect what they gave me. Yeah, the common acts of decency. Just the common acts of respect and listening and hearing, and acknowledging that other people have feelings and have a right to express those.
Yeah. When you fear for your life, you stop reasoning. You know. You lose all sense of right or wrong. And when you fear for your life, How do you even think about, taking care of your health? Because that would come later. First, you are in a flight or fight mode at that point. So that is what's happening. A lot of us are really going through trauma right now.
That's what the coronavirus does. It divides us all, and there will be consequences from every action we take.
When the bodies fall away, we're all one big energy pile, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So who you're judging right now is really, in essence, exactly the energy that you are.
I feel really strongly that everything happening right now in our nation with the rioting and the looting is all a direct result of the pandemic. Even down to the man that was killed by the police officer, which is horrible. I read that he was only in that state because he was out of work due to the pandemic, which is why he was even there in the first place.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then I also read, well, I didn't read it, but I feel really strongly that the stress of everything that's going on played a part in how the opposite.
Absolutely. The stress and the inability to adapt is making all of this stuff come to the surface, which we've needed to address for a very long time.
Yeah, so now
that's another gift, you see, from the virus.
Right, and so now the violence that we knew was escalating in homes and among people, we're seeing that just transpire right out there in front of us on the streets. Yeah.
Yes, and we're all also being encouraged to celebrate it by the leaders of our country.
Yes.
Which is a huge disservice to the human consciousness.
I can't tell you, I'm so afraid. I've heard so many nurses say, oh, thank goodness it's calming down right now. Maybe it's going to get better because I don't think I could do this again. So I'm afraid if something happens and a surge in this area comes back, a lot of the nurses are not, they can't, they don't want to do it. They want to just quit. I hope they don't. I mean, I know that they're going to try not to, but I mean, there's only so much you can do and you're exhausted. I think the most important thing that I want people to know is, obviously wear a mask, wash your hands, wear a mask, all that stuff, social distancing, that's all important. But really think about it logically. Why would they see people on the news? Why would healthcare workers all across the nation be dressing in all this PPE and protecting themselves and wearing masks when they're out in public? Why would we do that? Why would we just do that just to do that? I mean, this is something that is so contagious, and I think that is not being shared enough on the news about how deadly and how contagious this virus is. If you get it and you're one of those unlucky people that end up going to the ICU and having the worst of it, we don't see a lot of people survive it. So why would you take that chance? Why not just put a mask on and stay away from people? I don't know why they wouldn't do that.
Each day, each waking moment offers us a new miracle, a chance to do things differently.
Shit happens, right? That's right. Shit happens where we're in a physical experience and embodiment. What you do with the shit, that's up to you. When I speak, I have this whole thing I do where I put some plastic shit on the floor. And, you know, you can either go, oh, wow, there's a big pile of shit. I'm going to walk around it and get to where I want to go. Or you can go, wow, look at the shit. Look at the color. Oh, it's kind of a milky. Oh my God, smell it. And we get all involved in the shit. And the shit keeps us from getting us where we want to go. It's funny, but it's true.
What I want to share is be careful and stay at home, because here the must is io resto a casa. It's hashtag io resto a casa. It's me. I stay at home. Stay at home for your loved one, for yourself, for the community, for the world. We have to stay at home. Must stay. This is the only thing. And I wish that everything will be resolved as soon as possible, because it's awful to see how people so they suffer, how they are. It's bad. It's sad.
Watching Korean. My mom's Korean, and so she was watching a Korean network channel, news channel. It was talking about, you know, the positivity of your mind. And one of the things that it mentioned was laughter can always like lift how you're feeling. So they said laugh as much as you can, or even for nothing at all. So as we're all sitting in the living room, my kids and I with my mom, she just starts belting out laughing for no reason. She's like,
yeah, and then that made you laugh, right?
And then it made us laugh, and the kids laugh, and then she started laughing. And so they said they did scientific studies that showed positivity, laughter, happiness can help your health, your mentality, so many different things. And also you draw that positivity. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've proven that. They actually did an experiment where they had one group of people suck through a straw, like the straws in a glass.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had another group of people hold the straw that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that group of people, by the end, increased feeling good by over 30%.
Wow.
Why? Because makes you smile.
Oh.
I mean, we have so many simple things, and we've heard it and heard it and heard it for eons and centuries. Peter Pan, think happy thoughts and you fly, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Wizard of Oz, you have the power all along, Dorothy, and I will use my film E.T. Keep your heart open and you get back home.
I saw this video. I had to laugh, and I shared it on my social media. It was the cutest thing. Somebody has a sense of humor in Italy, and they were running around in a dinosaur suit, you know, to take the trash out and so forth. They were running around in this dinosaur suit. And I had to laugh because it was the funniest thing. So, and then we saw videos of Italians singing at the windows. I don't know if you experienced that in your neighborhood.
Yes.
You know, I saw this this saying, and I absolutely loved it. And I had posted it some time back, and it said, "Crisis doesn't create character; it reveals character."
Yep.
And I absolutely loved that saying, because it's true. The true nature of people come out in the hardest situations. And sadly, you know, like a lot of people like to focus on the bad, but I like to focus on the good as well. You know, in the community that I live in, a lot of people have come together, and it's drawn people closer. So, yes,
but you know, I want us to stop and ask ourselves, why did we need to create a virus to come out on our balconies and play music together? Why did we need to create a virus to do parades to celebrate the doctors and nurses that save us every day of our lives?
Mm-hmm.
You know, these random acts of kindness that people are coming together to support each other in, I took my little, call her my granddaughter. She's not biologically, but in spirit. And she came over to spend the day with me, and we made a big sign for the first responders. And we cooked some banana bread and took it up to the firemen that live close by us to thank them for all the work that they do for us and how they protect us. And I did that with my daughter when she was little. I think we do it for our kids to teach them, and then we forget to do it when we grow up. It's like, so one of my friends suggested that we get a whole bunch of chips and snacks that can stay outside safely and not melt, and put them out for all the delivery people. So I got a big old bag. My gosh, you'd think I left $1 million out there for them. They're so appreciative of just being appreciated.
Yeah.
So that's another tool that is available to everybody. What can you give? Get up every day and go, what can I create and where can I give today? Get out of yourself.
And if you can reach out to people who are stranded, if we can all give a little bit of what access we have, contribute food supplies, or if not, just reach out to people who are feeling insecure and they fear for their life. I think that's going to bring a lot of change, because tomorrow when we look back in the history and we say, I did something good in that lockdown period, I did help someone, I did save somebody's life. Oh, that's going to bring us a lot of relief and peace. And I think that's all what humanity is about. We should all have purpose and, meaning in life, even in times like this.
We just keep thinking that those old messages of struggle and trying hard and working hard are the answers. Mm-hmm. And really, it all comes down, from my perspective, to love, which begins with self-love. And the more you love yourself and fill yourself up with that love for no reason, not because you've accomplished something or you look a certain way, just for the pure choice of wanting to be filled up with love.
I care about our world, seriously, as a whole. They said the same thing about AIDS. I'm not being funny. Oh my God, it's never gonna go away. We're all gonna get it one time. And we didn't. You know what I mean? Right. We didn't. We got medication. We found treatments. We found ways. And now people running around zero load, right? This is just a virus. And I'm not minimalizing, hear me. I'm not minimalizing what we're going through. Right. On the same token, I am adult enough to say that this is just a virus. And I honestly believe in us as humans. Yeah. I believe that we will persevere through this. I believe that with our combined knowledge and with a little bit of time and effort, combined effort, all these beautiful minds are working. And I would prefer, and I'm being honest, right? Energy can either be created or destroyed. I would prefer to spend my time focusing on people are good. Science is wonderful. Science is advancing every day. We have a world working on something to create a solution. And I believe in us as a human race, that we will come together for our good as a whole to create a solution that works.
I have a question with that. So, it sounds easier than done. Okay. So,
yeah, but it's not.
But what can people do to help them have that self-love, that self-love? How do they, is it just look in the mirror and say, I love you? Or like, what do you
start? That's a start. I teach everybody to find a love place. Mm-hmm. And a love place is anything you think about that makes your heart open and makes you smile. I go right to my doggy Freedom, or Hawaii, that I love so much, or my little girl, who's now 31, when she was a baby, I would wake up to mum over the, the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
All those things open my heart, and I can instantly go into the feeling of love.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, yeah, that's how I feel about me.
Mm-hmm.
And really, anything you want to create in your life, like peace right now, oh, that's what peace feels like, is love. That's what money feels like.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a great relationship feels like. Anything you want, the more you can match it to that experience of love and create that within yourself first, then it comes and finds you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's wonderful. But not chocolate, right? Because if we have too much chocolate, we're in trouble.
I don't know if I could have too much chocolate. I am a chocoholic. I've got it. I do try to monitor myself, but I do eat really good 70% cacao chocolate, dark chocolate. That's
Well, dark chocolate's great for you.
Yeah, well, that's so they say. So I read all the reports that say dark chocolate and wine's good for you. I look for those reports.
Absolutely. And I ignore all the other ones that say otherwise.
Exactly.
We are easy people. We are, especially in the South. We will end up. We will resolve the problem slowly, but we will resolve. I'm very fiduciosa. I hope and I'm sure that we will win.
God has a great sense of humor. And he knew that every single one of us was going to take ourselves way too seriously.
God's disciples asked where they should build his house.
At the top of a mountain?
God said no. They'll think to look there.
Well, how about at the bottom of the ocean?
God said no. They'll look there too.
I want you to build my house inside of each and every one of them. Put it smack dab in the center of their hearts.
I will live inside of the human condition. They'll never think to look there.
we need to pay attention to. This is end of the world kind of stuff.
I know a lot of doctors too, and I've asked a lot of these doctors that I know back home in Minnesota. I know people at the Mayo Clinic. I've seen a lot of doctors come on the internet now and saying this is ridiculous what we're doing, because there's like $13,000 they're saying for every death you say is a COVID death that gets bonus to the hospital.
There's a lot of stories out of America that people are stocking up on masks and sanitizer and tissue paper.
Yes, that is actually true. Yeah.
Why?
Toilet paper.
All right, now we need Karen.